Okay, so this is episode 4 of the Neon 1000, which is basically me running through this book, which was given away with Neon magazine in the late 90s. Pretty obscure. They basically broke films down into different sections. So you've got depression movies, depressing movies, courtroom dramas, Clint Eastwood movies, zombie movies, etc., etc. So for a long time I wanted to work my way through this, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to go through section by section, but I also thought it'd be cool to have a look at movies that fit into a particular category that have been made since 1997, or at least since the publication of this book. Now I disclaim that because 2 of the picks I've got are from 1997, but they are not included in here. Obviously there are films here that in each section there is like an avoid one, so they don't appear in that section either, so that's cool. I have gone through a whole bunch of different things, about 50, 60 different movies. I've narrowed it down for my ease. I have broken them down into chronological order of release, which wasn't something that happened in here. The Fifth Element from 1997, starring Bruce Willis as a futuristic taxi driver who gets caught up in saving the world, basically. We've got Mila Jovovich, I may have butchered her name there. One of the first big films that she was in. It's also got Chris Tucker, who was very big at the time, largely disappeared for quite some years. Basically did this and the Friday movies, a bunch of Rush Hour sequels, and then dropped off the planet to the Silver Linings Playbook. Very iconic looking world. Some really, like, Chris Tucker's character is fantastic. There's lots of really quotable lines in it. Multipass. Yeah, it's probably one of Bruce Willis's best movies. Starship Troopers, which is also from 1997. Humans being portrayed as fascist characters, where bug aliens attack the Earth, and then Earth declares war on them. Battle, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. Starring a bunch of people who were quite big for about 5 minutes, such as Denise Richards, Casper Van Dien, Jake Busey. But it did also star Neil Patrick Harris, who I had no idea of. Dookie Howser, whatever it's called, where he's a genius, like child genius doctor. So for a long time, anytime he popped up in something, it was like, hey, that's the guy from Starship Troopers.
Would you like to know more?
Dark City from 1998, which is basically The Matrix meets a Grimm's Brothers fairy tale. Obviously, Matrix didn't come out for another year, but it's kind of the gist. But this is a movie that nowhere near as many people have seen. Very weird movie. Galaxy Quest from 1999, which sees Tim Allen play not Buzz Lightyear, but another spaceman, or an actor playing a spaceman. William Shatner playing a space. He plays a William Shatner type character in a Star Trek type show, which got cancelled, but was broadcast into space. An alien race who is being oppressed by another alien race comes to find the crew of this fictional starship to help them save their people. It's a brilliant parody of sci-fi shows, and it's got Alan Rickman in it. Jump to 2008 with Cloverfield, a movie that made a lot of people sick. Not for anything disgusting, this was to do with basically motion sickness Cloverfield is like a found footage movie, so it's basically someone running around with a camera filming what they saw. But it's a Godzilla type movie. Monster, alien attacking the city and then running around trying to save themselves and what have you. One of the few found footage movies that isn't a horror movie. Obviously, horrific things happen because to be found footage, some disaster has to happen for someone to find the footage later on. But it isn't a straight up horror, which is good, unique. The only other one I can think of that isn't really a horror movie is EP4 Charlie Mopic, which is about a cameraman that follows a squad in Vietnam. Very cool movie. Then we have Avatar from 2009, James Cameron's sci-fi epic, which, as I've recorded this, the third instalment has just arrived in cinemas. Much like most James Cameron pictures, tend to push special effects as far as I can go. Came out in a period like the last boom period of 3D movies, and probably the only one that was really good because it was designed to be 3D, and that's a trend that has disappeared in the time it's taken James Cameron to make the sequels. It was dismissed by quite a few people at the time, and probably still now. Possibly people haven't seen it. That it was basically the story of Pocahontas, which is English people go to America, start digging up the land, chopping down the trees. The Native Americans don't like it, blah 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 blah. But it's more like Fern Gully. And if you know that movie, that is some humans logging, destroying the rainforest, which is exactly what happens in Avatar, till they get to a magic tree. It's exactly the same. It has to go on the list for the special effects. There is not a movie that looks like it. Even when you don't watch it in 3D, although that's how it's designed, it doesn't matter. It's still stunning to look at. District 9, also from 2009, which is basically a metaphor for the apartheid in South Africa. It is a South African film. So it's a bunch of aliens who end up basically being refugees in South Africa. They very much live separated lives from the human inhabitants of South Africa. And then there's one government official who basically starts turning into an alien. And obviously then starts to sympathise with the alien residents of Johannesburg. Attack the Block from 2011, directed by Joe Cornish, aka Joe from the Adam and Joe Show. Basically, some glow-in-the-dark alien werewolf things attack a London estate, basically. And it's basically like a young street gang who take the aliens out, save London. Edge of Tomorrow from 2014. A brief period where Tom Cruise started making lots of sci-fi movies. Basically, he's a soldier and he gets caught in a time loop, and he has to figure out how not to be in a time loop to save the world. Tom Cruise style. Lastly, a movie that probably no one has seen. It's called The Vast of Night, and the reason nobody has seen it is because it is only available on Prime. You can't buy it anywhere. It's not streaming anywhere else because it is an Amazon Studios movie. It's set up like a Outer Limits style TV show. It's like the latest episode of an anthology type show, and it is set in sort of the 1950s, small town. There's a radio presenter and a switchboard operator, and they basically discover this signal and they're basically trying to investigate it. The film largely takes place in real time, and there are scenes where you are stuck watching someone for several minutes while they're talking and telling a story. There's a moment where the switchboard operator character is talking to different people on different lines and talking to the radio presenter, and the camera is just slowly zooming in on her, and then that scene kind of finishes and there's a cut. Obviously can't go on forever, and then there's a shot that basically goes all the way through the town to this basketball game that's happening. And then it goes from ground to basketball game, sees most of the residents of this town, and then goes off and finds the radio presenter again. And it's all just one continuous shot. It sticks in my mind at the minute, which is why I'm very enthusiastic about it, because I actually watched it again this morning. So, there you go. Okay, so those are my picks for post 9/11, Jesus. Post 1997 Alien movies. There are other ones on my list that I considered including, but I feel they will pop up in modern versions of other lists later on. Yeah, so I've not included them. But what more modern movies, and I say modern, I mean 1997 onwards, alien movies would you pick? Let me know in the comments below, and I will address them in a later video. Obviously you could include some pre-1997 movies. I did come up with a couple that I don't think are in the book, which would class in the alien category, such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Blob, War of the Worlds, and the original invasion of the Body Snatchers. But it's entirely up to you. Go back and watch episode 2, and you'll see me go through the original list, so you know which ones I've already covered. Yeah, let me know. So long. Farewell. Can you tell I don't rehearse this?